you, Senator Hawley.
Thank you again, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Behar, thank you for being here, and thank you. You have been extraordinarily patient, but also incredibly forthcoming in your responses, and it's just been tremendously helpful. So thank you so much. I just want to come back to something that you've said over and over, because you've been asked about it over and over. To quote you in response to an earlier question, you said that changes to the product, and you were just explaining that Instagram is a product like ice cream or opioids maybe. Changes to the product would be most helpful, but there is no incentive. And by no incentive, I mean, that really just means there's no money in it for the company, right? I mean, isn't that what it gets down to? If they could make money on it, wouldn't they do it?
You're going to have to ask them. I really am. I'm very excited for the day that Mark or Adam are sitting here.
Me too.
And then you can ask them, so why did you not invest? Because one of the things that is in each recommendation you see there, do you understand what data is causing these things? Like, here's the button that you can build in the systems. Those are not a matter of significant investment. It would not cost them as much. It is a matter of how much they prioritize the work and whether they're willing to set their goals based on what teens are experiencing.
I think that's very well said. And, I would just add this. You commented earlier that it would be great to hear Mark Zuckerberg say, we made $34 billion this quarter. That was hypothetical you threw out, and then here I also have to report, here's the amount of harm that teenagers suffered. I'd tell you what else I'd love to hear him say. We made $34 billion this quarter, and we have $34 billion in jury judgments pending against us. That would get their attention. And I just have to say, at the end of the day, if you want to incentivize changes to these companies, you have got to allow people to sue them. You've got to open up the courtroom doors. The FTC fined Facebook, what was $1 billion or something a couple of years ago. It made no discernible difference to their business practices. None. They changed nothing. They don't care. But I tell you what they fear. They fear parents going into court and holding them accountable. That's the hammer. That's what happened with big tobacco. That's what happened with opioids. That's the hammer. And that's what we have got to do. And so I'll just say this. We've talked about the bills that have passed this committee. One of them is Senator Durbin's bill, along with me. It's our bill together on child sexual exploitation, abuse material, CSAM, exploitative material. And for my money, the best part about that bill is it contains a private right of action. So I'll just say this. It's November, I think, the 7th today. Is that right? I'll make you a pledge. We're going to vote before the end of the year. Before the end of this calendar year, I will go to the floor of the United States Senate, and I will demand a vote on the bills that we have passed in this committee. And we'll just find out. We're going to put people on record. Because I'm tired of waiting. I've waited 4 years. Many folks in this committee have waited far longer. So we're going to vote. Any senator can go to the floor and call up a piece of legislation and ask for a vote on it. And I'm going to do it. Before the end of this year, I'm going to do it. So we're going to find out. We have all this talk about, we love it, we need to do stuff. Okay, fine, let's do something. And the other thing I just say is on the money that is flowing into this capital from big tech is obscene. It's totally obscene. And if we really wanted to change something, we'd get the corporate money out of politics. We would stop these mega corporations from making political contributions. That would change things. But either way, we're going to vote before the end of 2023. And we'll just put people on record, and we'll see where we go from there. Mr. Behar, thank you. I hope your testimony today will really motivate people. I know it will motivate parents. I think every parent listening to this will say, you know what, that's been my experience too. And I think to have someone who is an engineer as you are, has your level of expertise and been inside the company, I think so often parents feel isolated and they feel like maybe I just don't understand this technology. Maybe I'm the only one. And I just say, listening to you today, I think parents are going to say, I'm not the only one. My kid is not the only one. Yeah, go ahead.
If I may say something about that, parents know, they see this every day. And the other thing that it's been my experience in all my years doing this is that parents know how to parent. And sometimes when I've had a parent of a child that's been groomed and come and talk to me about it, about their experience, they're like, well, I don't understand this technology. The best way I've experienced of people to think about these things is just take social media out of the conversation. Like as a parent of a young kid, you know who your kids are spending time with. You keep an eye out on that, right? You get a sense of that. You want to make it very safe for your kid to come up to you and say, hey, Dad, there's this thing that's happening. That's what happened with me at home. and you want to make it safe for a kid to bring up an issue to you. And then when you see that these things are happening on these devices, right? If these things were happening at a school, and you knew that like 1 in 5 kids were witnessing, or 1 in 10 were experiencing about the unwanted sexual advances, and the kid turns to somebody in the school, right, for help, and they're like, oh, I'm sorry, I cannot help you with that. As a parent, what would you do, right? You would hold the school's administration into account, and that's one of the reasons that I am here today.
Thanks, Senator.